101 minutes to Leeds. I believe Leeds United did play this evening. This is the part where I pretend I never saw it. But we can get into that. People in the chat, put out things you want to talk about. Because, I'm just going to bring up nonsense. So, absolutely fine. Don't fancy you Wolves. Anything to do against City. This could be a cricket score. Okay. 2-0 Peru Ramazani. Oh, that's nice odds, but I mean, it seemed nice odds at the time. I'd imagine. Do we have anyone in the back? Because otherwise, people just get bored of me talking. I imagine. If people in my home now. Oh, look who it is! It's that shit ass Alonso. How you doing?
Hey Tom, how's it going? How's it going, everyone in the chat? Good to see you guys, and I look forward to talking with you, Tom, about nonsense.
It's all about the nonsense. Stan, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hey Stan.
Good to see you, sir. Alonso, tell me about something.
Right, so let's see. This weekend, Arsenal play Bournemouth. So we have a little bit of injury issues, concerns with Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Martinelli. Kai Havertz seems like he's good to go for tomorrow's game. Looking forward to watching it on replay because I am working tomorrow. So yeah, Tom, I think it'd be an easy game for us to solve out, as they say, and looking forward to just turn up the score line as hope they win tomorrow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how the season plays out until tomorrow.
Amazing. That was the longest words I've ever heard for the sentence. Do you want to talk about Leeds winning?
Right, yeah.
That was a long way to just go Leeds won tonight.
And he didn't mention Leeds once.
Criminal. It's criminal. John Sin bin him for 35 seconds. It's not the first time I've done that to people. Anyway, but no, seriously. I'm sure you'll all be really thrilled and stoked to know what I've selected in Betting in the Dark with Mr. Tom. Can't really say that about yourself. I mean, you could all smell the writing on the wall, and it probably stinks because I wrote it with a paintbrush dipped in shit. But anyway, what? That's too far. It's too far. Chris Wilder, to be fair, Jimmy, did say he gave us all the props. He said best team won on the night, which they did. My team. Hello, Lolo.
Hello.
See ya. It was not the worst win we've ever had. I was thrilled. No, seriously, I hope you're all right. In all seriousness.
So do you care to tell us, audience and myself, about the Leeds match today?
You know what, Alonso? I was thinking of it and I was hoping you was going to bring it up because, of course, we only ever talk about what you bring up. So we are now going to go with Leeds United defeated Sheffield United. And this is instant reactions because the game's pretty much just finished, like two hours ago. But bish bosh bang. Hello, Wanderers Gamer. Is this Debbie Lewis in another different alt or something? Because she's got about 72 accounts. Anyway. Apologies if you are the other Wolves fan, apart from the three that I have, the three that exist. But anyway, congratulate. He did. Humble pie. My favourite part of it is when Sheffield United put out a tweet. I can't remember when. It would have been at some point within the last 2 weeks. Basically, a list of undefeated clubs in the EFL. And then Sheffield United, as in, they're the only undefeated club in the EFL. I thought that's really clever. But then Leeds United did something even more clever, where we put out a tweet going after the game, going, list of undefeated clubs in the EFL. And it left it empty because they lost. And they lost to us. So fuck them.
Well played, Tom.
Anthony Herbert, big up, lads. Where is early doors tonight? Well, I did send him a telegram asking if he wanted to come on. But apparently he doesn't receive messages from carrier pigeon. So I have no real explanation for that. But hello, Mr. Herbert. How you doing? But yeah, so generally, I don't really know what to say more about the game without properly dissecting it, which I'm not going to do, because otherwise, why would I bother doing my own lead show on a Sunday? Waste of time. But it's not waste of time because it's really fun and people should watch it. But whatever. I'll just word vomit. Yeah, word. Thank you, John. Or sorry, man in the sky, the omnipotent presence. It's good lad, that John. So Alonso, what do you think? So no, let's get to the real question. What do you think of the English national team having a German national manager?
Tom, it's interesting that you asked that question because, Thomas Tuchel, aka Tommy Tickle, as our friend Stan calls him, he has a little bit of pedigree. He's had success with, Borussia Dortmund, and just he has a little bit of success with Chelsea. Though I know English fans, whether you're an Englishman or not, uh, you find it kind of interesting on how England's hired a German coach. That's not a knock on Tommy Tuchel, but it's like we. Oh, Tom, you're asking a hard question. I'm not English, pal. So, but I think with Southgate, his predecessor, you would assume that they would at least pick an English-born coach. And to me, I would have at least narrowed it down to Graham Potter getting a shot for that job. But I'm not going to judge a man based on the hiring. I'm going to base his tenure as coach as to see what he could do. So I think we got to give our English fans to give him a chance to see what he could do with the players he's got, and there's a lot of them that could play. So it'd be interesting to see on how he takes it, how the players currently take it, how they fit his system, and see if he's successful. What are your thoughts, Tom?
Just before I give my thoughts on that, hello, Tony, early doors. How you doing? His ears must have been burning when I started bringing up the carrier pigeon. He hears back pigeons. He was like, Tom must be talking to me. But yeah, no, drafted into work. What, the vampire business, is it? At midnight? Anyway. Mr. Trick not appointing Joey Barn. He doubled down on his stance with the Arsenal. That's a right. Forget. I was gonna say Arsenal women's goalkeeper. She's not the Arsenal women's goalkeeper. I think she's the goalkeeper for England and PSG, from what I know. But apparently, because he had previously said if he took 100 penalties against the England women's goalkeeper, he would have scored all 100. Obviously, a lot of people, it provoked a lot of discussion. He then took it all back. He doesn't think he'll score 100 penalties against her. He'll score 1,000, because of course he said that. Again, I think it creates all this. Of course, it's absurd, but at the same time, it will never happen because she'll be afraid in case he does score 1,000 penalties, and he'll be afraid in case he misses one. Therefore, they're both cowardly because they're basically defending their entire football ideology. So, but yeah, well, I agree with Anthony Herbert here. My thing with it, hello Ryan, how you doing? My thing with it is, quite frankly, getting back on the serious things. I don't care. Ultimately, because we've just had 2 weeks of everyone sitting again, I don't care about national football, but then people blow a gasket about the manager of a team they supposedly don't care about watching. Well, I don't get these England games are crap. It's like, yeah, they are crap. Because the England team's not as good as your club team for most clubs. So, yeah, that's why you enjoy watching your club team more than you enjoy watching England. And ultimately, deep down, you don't really care who manages England, but you feel like you have to because it's a thing. And I totally get why people will feel like it should be all English manager. I totally get that, but I don't care. put it simply, because people go, "Oh, what's he ever done?" He's only won the Champions League. So I think he won the Bundesliga with Dortmund. I could be wrong there. Like, he's won things. Admittedly, he probably should have won more given the teams he's had. But
Tom, I have a question for you, Tom.
yeah, God, sir.
Do you think that Tuchel will have more quote unquote success than Fabio Capello would have had?
I don't think it'd be hard to have more success than Fabio Capello, because I think Fabio, if I remember rightly, did he not get first round exit in the World Cup?
Yeah, 2010, right? Is it 2010?
14? No. He was Roy Hodgson in by then, by 2014. I could be digging at Capello incorrectly.
Okay.
But generally, Capello didn't what's the phrase? Pull up many trees. No, it was 2010. He was the manager in England. You're right, and obviously, people go, "Oh, we only lost Germany because of the ball crossline." It's like, yeah, but then we didn't score it, and then they went on to kill us, and they were well on top in that game at that moment. But not there's semantics over a game that happened 14 years ago. But football fans have done less or worse. But anyway,
Tom, did Robert Green represent England while he was still playing for Leeds?
sorry, who?
The Robert Green, goalkeeper?
No.
Did he represent? Okay.
No, he played for England when he played for West Ham, I think. I could be wrong there. It was either Norwich or West Ham. He played for Leeds in the Championship. So there's absolutely no chance he was playing for one of the clubs at Leeds. He was all right for Leeds, to be fair to him.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, Tom, like I wish him the best. I know a lot of people don't favor him as being England's next manager, but I hope Tuchel can do something better than, or not better than, but he can execute against the bigger clubs once the final stages hit of a major tournament. And not play defensively. You know what I'm saying? Like, play more offensively and put the right pieces together that is going to succeed. That's all I think England supporters want.
I think a lot of it is obviously it's because he is German more than foreign. It's specifically German, and there's this odd thing of, oh, they're our rivals. Like, well, we're not their rivals. We're not. The Germans hate the Dutch because of the war.
Right.
But then, like, we won the war, and they basically like pissed off, and we're like, all right, you won that one or whatever. I mean, I'm doing a fictional conversation. I don't know what they actually said, but it's very strange. Don't get me wrong, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's fine. I just find it strange how people were like, oh, I don't want it to be Tuchel, but they were absolutely tossing the media specifically were absolutely tossing themselves off at the prospect of it being Pep. Which again is understandable. But then to act like, oh, he should be English, it's like, but you would have taken Pep or maybe even Klopp. So, like, basically, was it not the right German?
Right.
But I don't know.
I think
I'm not entirely wrong. I'm right. What I think on it.
I think what's so funny about this whole thing, Tom, is that we here in the States have hired Pochettino as our gaffer for USA Soccer. The similarities are so rare because they both won. I believe Pochettino won trophy in Europe somewhere, but they both managed Chelsea at one point in their career. It's funny how that is, right? Football is so funny that both clubs. Chelsea have hired, both countries have hired former Chelsea coaches to be their managers moving forward. It's so funny, man.
I mean, I find it amusing that you got Pochettino because it's like I know for the United States national team set up and that the country in football in terms, it's a big appointment. I get that, but it's still you can take the man out of Spurs, but you can't take the Spurs out of the man. He is a Spursy manager.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I've got it in my mind. I don't know if it's factually correct, but I don't know if he won the league in France with PSG. He probably did, but someone there didn't. It was either Tuchel or him. But
They both coach PSG. Yeah, so Pochettino coached PSG, right? As well, right?
Tony will be on it. He's combing his hair. Hello, Lawrence. How you doing, buddy? I don't know why I said, buddy. You're my worst enemy. It's not true. He just supports West Ham. It's not worth going to war over. But seriously, sorry, what was you saying, Alonso? So I was getting into picking fights
So
in the chat.
I didn't know Pochettino also coached PSG. So I forgot about that. Now that you said it.
He only lasted a season, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I have my occasional moments, Lolo. A broken clock is still right twice a day. But that's still twice a day more correct than Lolo usually is. Sorry, he can shut me off at any point, so I need to be careful what I say. So I'm just gonna double down on that. But no, so are we in agreement that we never agree on anything in football? But well, then once a day.
But for me, Tom, unfortunately, as much as I want to support, well, as much as I want USA soccer to succeed, it's still a mystery to me on who our best 11 is, even if we have any best 11, because our center back from Fulham, I forgot his name now, but he's getting older now, and then who we had to replace him with? I think there's the kid from Crystal Palace. Tim Ream, there you go. Yeah,
is that right?
Ream. Yes, and he came back to the States to retire, I guess, to finish his career. But we had no to replace his leadership back there in the back. We have that kid, I think Michaels from Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And that's what we have really. Except bless you, Tom. I think we have Carter Vickers, who played for Celtic. But that's what we have as our backup, as our center backs currently. So it's a worrisome, not worrisome, but kind of troubling that we have a lack of experience in the center back position. We have Anthony Robinson, and I don't even know who else we have, really. I mean, that's how interested I am in USA soccer, unfortunately, right now. So, but there's talent there. It's just if Pochettino can have him ready for the World Cup in almost 2 years now, or a little bit under 2 years now. So, yeah, quite concerning that it took this long to hire a coach. Yeah, so I don't know. It just kind of frustrating, actually.
Lawrence, it was a good win for Leeds today. It was so good that I'm going to put on my happy face. This is my happy face. No, seriously, I'm thrilled. I am thrilled.
Hey,
I'm genuinely thrilled. Oh, look who it is. It's Stan the Man. It's Stan the Man.
Hey,
happy faces all round. Mr. Potus with, I love the cave you're broadcasting from. I love it too. It's very cavey. But yeah. How you doing, Stan?
Hey, Stan.
Bad back. The usual bad back. Other than that, fine.
It could be worse. It could be worse. It could be worse. You could be a Tottenham fan.
Yes, that could be worse. That would be worse.
Yeah. We had Lucas Radaby at Mode. He was our captain. He's loved so much. But yeah, no, it was good. How you doing, Ben? Arizona from Arizona. Is Stan a fellow Vancouverite?
Well, I live there. Yeah, I'm not from here, but I live here.
Yeah, I could tell from the Peckham accent.
Yeah, exactly.
Pure Vancouver all the way.
You can often see me driving around downtown in my 3-wheeler.
But yeah, no, it was Good evening. Stan, do you have any thoughts on while we was on it on Tuchel being England manager?
Mr. Tommy Tickles, yes, I do actually. I'm not a diehard England fan. You know, I don't take days off to watch the game and rearrange everything in my day to fit it in. But my opinion is, well, it should be exactly what it says on the tin. It's an international tournament. So for me, that should be the players should come from said country, the best players going up against the best players of other countries, but they should be led by the best manager from that country. It's not because Tommy Tuchel is German. I mean, I would feel the same way if they had appointed Pep. I just think it's an international tournament. That should be the best players and the best manager going up the others, and bringing in a foreign manager. For me, it feels like you're bringing in a ringer. You know what I mean? It's like having a horseshoe in your boxing glove. Do you know what I mean? So that you can get through the round.
My favourite thing with Tuchel, well, apart from the time he had the tussle with Conte, obviously that's the top one, but whenever he's like trying to give out tactics, but he's trying to so you can't read his lips, and he sits there, and the amount of clips I've seen where they've put a rap song over his mouth or over his, because he's moving like he's actually rapping.
They should put human beatbox over it.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, they do. It's out there. It's
really?
fantastic. Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing. I don't know if you was in England when Soccer AM existed.
Yeah, I remember it.
But yeah, one of their things was basically we got, I don't know how I can't remember how they worded it, but we've got live footage of Tommy Tuchel doing I've said his name about 8 different ways in the last 5 minutes, but we've got the future England manager doing I'm all forgetting what to call him, doing a team talk, and it was basically boom, 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 or whatever. Anyway, not worth it at this point, but
So, Tom, if you say it in 8 different ways, you're bound to get it right once.
But I probably didn't.
Just like your clock.
Yeah, thank you.
The thing is as well, though, like, you know, saying, well, there's not as many good managers in England as they have in Spain or Italy. That's the English FA's fault. They should give them the impetus to somehow implement a structure that will bring through English managers. Maybe you could have a situation where, you know, back in the day where I was talking about this on Fan Circle last night, where you would only be allowed to have 3 or 4 foreigners in your team years ago. Remember that rule? They should have a similar thing where, let's say you've got a manager he comes in, he's from France, Italy, Spain. He picks his assistant manager, and then he's got 10 spots open for the coaching staff. They should have a rule saying that of the 10 spots that you have now for your coaching staff, 3 of them or 4 of them have to be from the United Kingdom. And then they could give them like a spreadsheet of all of the 100 young managers who have come through all of the training, who are properly qualified. Maybe they'll have a speciality, that they're part of speciality with the team. And then those managers can bring them in for interviews and pick them like a draft. And at least that way, then you have maybe more English men working within coaching, and that may lead to them, you know, making the step up to assistant managers and managers. Just a thought that I put together in like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
flawed.
Well, I mean,
you could rework it, retune it, and
I mean, obviously, your first thought on it would be like, well, clubs would obviously game it as in, well, we'll just have, if you have to have 4 English coaches, it'd be like one to be a throw-in coach, like, or whatever. You know, it wouldn't necessarily be, you'd still end up probably with 20 foreign head coaches. But so then basically you're no real further up, but in this situation. But again, just my first thought on that.
Also, as well, I think that the manager of a country, of an international country, by being from that country as well, maybe it'll be you'll understand the culture of that country. You know, you'll understand the mentality, and I think that can also help as well. I mean, you know, when we had Fabio Capello, he didn't speak any English, and I just thought that was such a disconnect. having to listen to him talk, and then you have to get it through the translator to know what you want. You know, I mean, how does that work when he's on the touchline, trying to shout his orders? I mean, there's a translator. So that's my cat. She knocks everything off the table. That's what cats do, right?
No, you're right, Sam. Bringing up Capello.
What, you have a ceramic cat? It was pretty loud.
No, what was it? She decided to push this off the table.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. What is that?
I don't know. My missus bought it. I just said thanks.
It's like a paperweight.
I thought
Probably
it was
just like, wait, it's whole paper done.
I thought it'd be easier if I just said thanks when she gave it to me. Cat likes it, so you know it's not a total bust.
Eddie Howe wasn't even offered it apparently because I asked him. Because Eddie Howe was in a press conference, was like, "Were you offered the England job?" And he went, "They never even talked to me about it." But I don't know. What I will say, well, probably nonsense, but I remember Jermaine Defoe talking about Fabio Capello, and they instituted like the rule where they got rid of like the wags and stuff.
Yeah,
he snuffed that out. That's the one good thing that he did. He snuffed out that bullshit culture of like it being more about the wives and girlfriends than about the football or into the televised product. And he banned any form of basically anything that was remotely enjoyable. He banned. Like so, they all had to stay in South Africa.
Connect Four. No, that's gone.
Yeah. Well, they had to stay. They had to spend from I don't know the exact times because I'm just remembering the gist of what he said, but it was like from after like 8 o'clock at night, or when the game finished or whatever that day, they would have to go to their room, and there'd been he was rooming with Wayne Rooney, so what they did every day during that tournament, basically, how do you spend your time? He was like, well, I watched Wayne Rooney's wedding video about 46 times. Imagine having to do that. Like, I'd throw that tape at Capello and go, look, you see what this cunt's making me watch?
He wouldn't throw the tape at Capello because the guard standing outside the room of your bedroom wouldn't let you out.
No, but you could sneak it out like the next day. You'll be like, hey, Fab, come here. I mean, Capello would just stare him to death, like in all truth.
So was Capello more of a disciplinarian, or was he just?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh, wow.
It was one of those like I've won the Champions League, like so you. I mean, a lot of these players at that time had done nothing. Mm-hmm. So, but he's won the Champions League, probably like as a manager or whatever, won a lot of things. So it was like, and at that time he was brought in because every other Indian manager we had failed for a long time. Sven was not bad, but he was supposed to like take us a bit further than Sven. He didn't, but it was the idea of it.
Stan, wasn't Jack Wilshere and Dale Walcott on that team that he managed?
Yeah, he was. Theo Walcott started under Sven Goran Eriksson. Do you remember? He was that weird.
Oh, right, okay.
He got picked.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Never played.
Yeah, he took him to. In my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but I do think I'm right. He took him to the Germany World Cup in 2006, but he had no intention of playing him. So why'd you take him?
Just shout out to Tony there. Yeah, long time, Tony. Mr. Herbert.
Oh, wow.
That was a long time, yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry, Mr. Tom.
No, it's no problem. Is that Claude as in AFTV Claude, or is it?
Yes,
Claude?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think they did him dirty, personally, but, you know, don't know if I should say that here, but still. It was, anyway, I forgot what was that. Capello was existing, I suppose. But other than that, so Leeds won. England have got a new manager. Some people are happy. Some people ain't. Some people don't care. Ultimately, when the international break rolls around in the next 3 weeks, we'll all go, I can't wait to watch the international break to finish.
I tell you what I don't understand as well. Lee Carsley's been put in for 3 camps, basically 3 tournaments or 3, international breaks, if you want. Yeah. Now that they've chosen an England manager, why does Lee Carsley still have to do 2 more camps? Why don't they get the manager in, so that he can start working with the team and getting his message across.
Well,
like they've only.
what-
It's like he's been booked for the finale.
Well, what he
Do you know
said,
what I mean?
no, it's true. What he has said, the official line is that Tuchel actually wants to, because obviously he wants the Nations League out of the way. So the official line is he wants to focus on the World Cup by actually starting with World Cup qualifiers. I'm like, that makes sense. But what you should have said is the truth, going, I want to spend Christmas at home. Like, just say that. You want to come in for the international break in March. Just say that. Just say that you want to, from January onwards, you want to go around watching football matches for free. Because obviously you get hosted at Premier League grounds or whatever. But just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Like, it's like the Neil Warnock thing of he always makes sure he's in a job in January. Never before Christmas, because he's got to stay home with Sharon. And then Sharon wants him out the ass, kind of thing. But
Hey, Tom,
I like the 4th, 5th of January. He's worn out his welcome.
Yeah. She's kicked him out the ass. She's kicked him out the ass, basically. She's like, Neil, fuck's sake, go and get a job. Sorry, go on, mate.
So when do World Cup qualifying start?
I believe it's in March.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I could be wrong, but I believe it is March. I mean, I'm guessing it's in March. I haven't cared enough to look, but
okay.
But ultimately, I just think it's one of these things. We're going with a manager that wins things, depending on what your definition that is. But he's got a Champions League to his name, so not that that's really the be all and end all, because Pep's only got two.
Has he won league titles like in Germany or anything?
I could be wrong. He has won it He won it with Dortmund, but I don't think he won it with Bayern, or he did, but he didn't win. He definitely didn't win it last year with Bayern.
I think he didn't also manage Bayern Munich as well, right?
Yeah, he managed them last season. He left after they didn't win the title. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they finished third. To be fair though, they scored loads of goals, and they probably would have won it had what's his name? Did Tuchel take over from Nagelsmann? Oh, thank you, John. Took over from Nagelsmann, won the title, but then basically he won it with a style of football that Bayern fans did not like, and they were handing him out after the first season, and then he was like, "Nope, I'm staying." And then because it looked like they weren't going to win the title with what's his name? Bayern Leverkusen were undefeated, weren't they? So. Other than that, I don't care.
So who came in second in the Bundesliga? Was it Dortmund or was it
I think it was Red Bull Leipzig, but I could be wrong. I mean, I like it when Red Bull Leipzig do well, because then in my mind I imagine they filter that money over to my team. They don't. If anything, they take money from us because the amount of times we've seen them in court, which is once, and they won. So this is all championship law. You Premier League teams wouldn't know that Red Bull Leipzig sued us. But
really,
and they were right to. They were right to as well.
Because
because we signed a player on loan from them, John Kevin Augustin. I barely know he is, and I've seen him play 48 minutes of football. That's the first clue to how good he was. But basically, the stipulation of the contract was if we get promoted to the Premier League, we then owe Leipzig £16 million, which I find fair enough.
And you keep the player.
Yeah.
So it's an obligation to buy pending promotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The rub on this though, he turned up unfit, immediately got injured. He ended up playing 48 minutes in total. I think the bulk of it was a substitute appearance against Nottingham Forest where he was dog shit. Anyway, yes. Because COVID happened, it basically the loan was stipulated to end on say June the 30th. But obviously, because COVID happened, they restarted the season later, and we obviously knew he was dog shit. by this point. And we tried to pull the fast one by saying, well, we got promoted on July 19th or whatever it was. And Red Bull Leipzig were quite rightly like, what the fuck is this? Like, you are obligated to pay for this player based on this
on the contract, the agreement, right?
Yeah. I as soon as I knew this was coming up, I was like, we're gonna get our pants pulled down in court. It was better than that though, because the biggest Leedsy thing ever could happened where we agreed, because we for some reason thought we were going to win in court. I don't know who thought that, but basically went, yeah, we'll agree to actually let the player go on a free transfer, because Leipzig didn't want him either. So Leipzig were like, fine, and he went to Nantes or someone in front.
He went nonsense.
Anyway, so we lost the case to them. Yeah, he might as well have done. That's how bad he was.
Okay.
As soon as I said that, I fucking knew you'd do that, Stan. It's my fault. It's my fault. I set you up for it. I was
you teed me up nicely, anyway. To be fair.
I did. I apologise. But no, genuinely, what happened, because we lost in court, obviously, all right, we'll pay him the 16 million. He then went to FIFA and went, well, basically, if they have to pay the transfer fee, Leeds should be obligated to pay my wages for a Premier League contract. So we then had to shell out 80 grand a week for 4 years that he never played.
4 years?
We basically, with that 6-month loan or whatever it was was in January. The contract, if it was made permanent, was going to be for 4 years. It may have even been 5. It was definitely 4 or 5.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And obviously, but in his mind, because we agreed to let him go for free, so because we didn't know how long the case would last, he's basically thinking, well, if they have to pay for the player, they should have to pay the player, which again, he's probably right.
And is that what happened?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me understand this correctly. So he's gone out on a free transfer. So he's at another club now, being paid, but he's also been back paid or forward paid 4 years at 80 grand a week,
which he never played, and he was never going to, based on his 48 minutes football.
I have to admit, I do like the larceny of it. There's something about it that, the cheekiness of it. It's like, I mean, it's good work if you can get it right.
It's the worst bit of transfer business.
Yeah, it's like a pension being given to you early.
Yeah, it's the worst bit of transfer business that no one knows ever happened because it never happened in the Premier League.
Stan, you mean it's good non-work if you can get it?
Yeah. I suppose. I mean, you're laughing, didn't you? You just put half of it away in a high interest account. Just leave it. You got a pension set up. You're laughing. Bad situation to get into, because you don't even though he's dog shit, you don't even have him. You're paying for someone that isn't there. Wow.
The real crux of it is he was still like his backstory.
I have to work that out over 4 years. Please continue.
It ends up totaling that we shelled out about 40 million. It was more than that. But that's the kind of numbers you're thinking, Stan.
Wow.
For a player that played 48 minutes. Again, I remember the number exactly because it's so absurd. He came out of the PSG academy, then I think he went Monaco. I could be wrong there, but he obviously ended up in Leipzig. He was like one of these like French under-21 international kind of thing, like lots of potential. Looks great in a YouTube highlight reel kind of thing. But then he turned up at Leeds. Well, yeah, we all do. Well, actually, that's not true. But it's incredible. I've never seen a bigger bungle of a transfer from start to finish, because the thing no one's actually said in this, which I think ultimately sums up why it's bad, is if you'd have kept his registration and had him sitting on his ass for 4 years, you could have after 1 year gone to him, do you fancy just going anywhere to play football? And because he's part of our club, we can then get another club to pay him off, like no transfer fee or whatever, but then we contractually don't owe him 80 grand a week for the next 4 years. That may actually not be true because of the way transfers work now. But It's not. It's surely anything's better than what actually happened. It's pure leads.
Putting him into a cannon and shooting him into the sun would have been better than what actually happened.
You might have got a goal out of him doing that, but nah, I don't know.
It's Dan. If there's a player that played for Arsenal, right, recently, the name of Daniel Suarez comes to mind. Remember, he came from Barcelona, right?
Oh, Dennis.
And Dennis Suarez. Sorry, Dennis Suarez.
Yeah.
He did nothing for it.
I kind of have Dennis Suarez and Danny Ceballos. They're kind of like all
right, yeah.
One player. They're like the same thing. But we had a player at Arsenal, and you might not remember this, Alonso, but I think Mr. Tom will. Do you remember when we had a player that went on strike, Stefan Schwartz? That's the only thing like that I remember happening at Arsenal.
Mid-90s, right?
Yeah, he just decided he wanted to move. We didn't want him to let him move, so he went on strike. It's like, fucking hell. Good player as well. Good player.
Where did he come from, Stan?
He was Scandinavian, if I remember right. Stefan Schwartz. I think he was Swedish, Danish, something like that. I'm sure someone in the chat box might remember. I thought it was an Arsenal fan circle. I thought it was all Arsenal in the chat box.
I've googled for the total transfer cost, right? And obviously, we'll go back to Stefan Schwartz because I've got things to ask about him. But FIFA ordered Leeds to pay Leipzig 17.5 million euros in compensation, so about 16 million quid or something like that. Augustin then filed a claim against Leeds for what he would have earned at the club. FIFA supported.
What you would have earned. That's like you know on Bullseye when they go, let's have a look at what you would have won, and they bring out the speedboat. What you would have earned. You know what I mean?
It's like the audacity of him to
think. It's like saying if I'd gone to university and got a bachelor's degree into nuclear science and got a job in that field, what I would have earned compared to today. You know what I mean? It's hypothetical.
Yeah. According to Google's AI, basically 28.6 million euros was what he was entitled to. And he presumably got. I don't know if we've actually paid it yet, but anyway. The thing I think about Stefan Schwartz is, didn't you eventually sell him to Sunderland? Or didn't he eventually end up at Sunderland?
I can't remember where he went. I think you're right. I thought, it's Middlesbrough or Sunderland, somewhere up that way.
I've got it on Google. It on Google right now.
Good player.
Started at Malmo. You actually sold him to Fiorentina after a year. He ended up at Valencia and then at Sunderland, which I believe is the club where they had to give him a contract where he would promise to not go into space.
The main reason I remember that. Were there chances of him going up there or something? I mean...
Oh, you're right. I've got it here. Sunderland signed him in July 1999 for a then record fee of £3.75 million. Because of his publicly expressed desire to become a space tourist, the club inserted a space clause into his contract, stating that if he were to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere, his contract would become wholly invalid. That's incredible. And
you got to think, this is back in like the early 90s when there was none of that Elon Musk where rich people could just go up into space. He's like, you had to be a fucking trained astronaut with NASA or the Russian cosmonauts, or that was it. So what chances were there of him going up?
I don't know. I think they inserted it more as the publicity we'll get through that becoming public knowledge. Or we'll end up as a trivia quiz in a pub somewhere.
I can't remember why he went on strike. I can't remember what the problem was. And I think this was under George Graham. I think it was a George Graham signing, if I remember rightly. George Graham, I think. Yeah. But I don't remember. As you say, he was only with us for about a year, but looked like a really decent player. And I can't remember why he just decided, no, I don't want to be here anymore. If there was a fallout or... I can't remember.
Look it up. I get the feeling, without knowing anything about him personally, it was probably I'm used to not the English culture, because obviously you didn't get that many Excuse me, sorry.
He must have
You
had a
don't get.
fucking heart attack when he woke up in Sunderland. Then fucking hell.
Oh yeah, but that's if he must have been dead. Like, I want you to try and live in 1950 or something. He was like, oh, where can I go that simulates the 1950s? I'll go to the northeast of England in the 90s. But oh yeah, sorry.
I don't know
nothing
why.
against Sunderland, apart from a lot of things. Sorry. His last game for you was the 1995 UEFA Cup Winners' Cup final. Oh, you made a profit on him though. 1.8 million you bought him for, and then you sold him for 2.5 million. I mean, don't get me wrong. That sounds like nothing.
Oh, back then that was a lot of dough.
Yeah.
Back then that was
Like,
big dough, right? You know what I mean?
Well, the British transfer record would have been 7 million, roughly, at that point. So
we paid 7.5 for Dennis Bergkamp. That was like I raised them at the time. It was like big dough. You know what I mean? Like how much? Because you only see at that time when Dennis Bergkamp got bought, it didn't seem at that point, and it was not so long ago when everyone was making a fuss about Trevor Francis being the first £1 million player at Nottingham Forest. I remember that really well. You know, it was a big deal, right?
that is mad. It's amazing how it shot up to the degree they did, and to some extent how it's totally gone off a cliff. Partly because of new financial rules, but also because PSG, nearly 10 years ago, just went, you know what, fuck this shit. We're just going to pay Barcelona an absurd amount of money that no one's even going to try to emulate.
Neymar, that's still the most expensive transfer, isn't it? I think that was 200 million.
Yeah.
Was it? Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Technically, they never paid Barcelona for the player. They paid him after he bought himself out of his own contract.
That's right.
If I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Because his contract was set at his buyout clause was 200 million. So I could be totally wrong here, but they gave that in Spain. Everyone has a buyout clause, mandatory.
That's right. When we bought Thomas Partey, we got him for 50 million, and there was nothing no one could do about it. It's like we went there in the middle of the night, paid the money, and snuck off with him. Every player has I'm thinking you're right. Every player in their contract has a fee, right? A minimum buyout clause or something. Yeah.
Like in England, it's I don't say it's rare, but it's not mandatory. But obviously, a lot of players want it in case it does get triggered. But to my understanding, they naturally thought no one's going to pay it, and even if they do, he will never want to leave because why are you going to want to leave Barcelona at that time? But then eventually, he's like, well, I kind of don't want to be in Messi's shadow.
Suarez is. He had a great. He should have stayed there. I know we're going off track. He should have stayed there. But go on. Sorry.
No, you're right. Ultimately, it turned out to be a massively wrong decision for a man that wants to win things in football, like things worth winning. Like, if you grow up wanting to win League One in France 10 times out of 12, then it was a great move. But I'm pretty sure growing up in Brazil, he wasn't sitting there dreaming of playing for a French oil-based, oil-financed team. What he'd play for Barcelona, I imagine. But excuse me.
Hey Stan and Tom, I have a question for you. Yeah. So Stan, you brought up how Arsenal at the time broke the record for signing Bergkamp. How much did Newcastle pay Alan Shearer from Blackburn for him to join Newcastle at that time?
15 million, I think it was.
Was that a record then as well?
It was a world record transfer at the time. But I bet
Dennis Bergkamp wasn't a record. It was a record for Arsenal, not the wider.
Oh, okay, all right.
Talking about what do you call? Just gone out of my head.
Transfers.
No, the clauses. You know, you can put the clause in for the fee. I know it's a different world, but like for example, when I'm messing around on FIFA in career mode, and you get into the bit where you're going to sign a player, and you go through the negotiations, the release clause bit. You know, I never negotiate a release clause. I never have one in any of my players' contracts at all. Because the way that I look at it, even if it's really high, it's 150 million, say, I don't
Still
want another
enticing.
team to just come in and take one of my important players and I don't get a say in it. You know, I want to be able to say, now I'm going to sell you and I'll see you for as much as I can, rather than having players pulled out, you know, from underneath me. So I'm trying to understand why in the real world, who is it a benefit for by having a release clause?
Oh, the player and the agent are the player. They're the ones who push for it.
Why?
And they won't go to a lot of clubs without it. Like,
Why?
for
How
example,
does a release clause? How does it benefit Neymar if another club comes in and says to the club, "There's your 200 million. We're taking Neymar." How does that benefit him?
He can say no to it.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily you have
it's
to
not
sell.
compulsory.
No, you have to sell him if he wants to go. It's the
Right.
same as when you triggered the Suarez contract by adding £1 over the top, which
Right.
was really cheeky, by the way. It never happened ultimately because he said no.
Mhm.
It's not like you walk in with your £20 with your 40 million and then you sack where you where you act like you're actually going to put it over his head and run out like Borat and Pam Anderson. But if anyone's ever seen that, but no,
So what you're
the
saying
player
is then
then has
what
a
you're
choice.
saying is then by having that in there, it's a get out clause for the player. Like let's say he's
Yes.
playing at Liverpool and he's got a buyout clause of 150 million. It's a safeguard that if someone like a Madrid comes in for him, no one can stop him from going to Real Madrid because he'll go there and the club can't step in and say no. Even is that what it's about? Enabling the player to get maybe a dream move if a Bayern Munich or a Real Madrid or a Barca come in for you. Okay.
Simply put, yes.
Okay.
Question of the panel: who's the last team to win a European tourney? What last British team? Do you want me to say West Ham?
West
The last
Ham.
Prem team. You want me to say West Ham because you beat Fiorentina in the conference tin pot, in the tournament where the two teams that got to the final were the only two teams that are probably going to get to the final. And I'm really not roasting West Ham for it. It's just he's done the thing that I do when I just want to get Leeds into a conversation, so I ask a question I know is about Leeds.
Just want to say to Tony Herbert as well. I usually have a really bad memory for things in football. I'm not one of these that can go, oh yeah, that game we played in 1995 when we won 2-0 up at, you know, I'm really bad for stuff like that. But that Schwarzer free kick against Sampdoria, I too also remember that one.
Beat Gunner's right. It's not West Ham. Man City won the Champions League in the same season, which I'm pretty sure is held after the Conference League.
Hey Tom, who coached that team? Ball fraud.
Fucking bald fraud. But yeah, I can't remember where I'm on. I don't remember what I'm on about now.
I do have another topic.
But
I'm going to go to the loot, and I do have a topic that I would like to talk to you two about to get your opinions on it. But I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. While he's on the loo or in the loo or whatever, I was going to bring up my knowledge of the release clauses in transfers is based on the fact that my team is often a victim of it. Like personally, I don't believe Leeds United would have wanted Crescencio Somerville to go to West Ham United, but ultimately West Ham somehow, usually through the agent of the club ain't going to turn around to West Ham and go, you know, if you give us 25 million, we have to sell him to you, because that make the club incompetent. And although my club is clearly incompetent based on the transfer of Jean-Kevin Augustin, it's still a really silly thing to do. But the agent knows it's in the contract. The agent knows it's in the contract. And so the agent probably adds a word in the ear of West Ham. It's like, you know, if you bid this, you can get the player. But I'm not digging out Somerville. But ultimately, that doesn't happen unless he says he wants to go. Like, and you can sit there and go, like, Jorginho Rutter, when Brighton triggered the clause, I totally get why he went. But at the same time, you can do your letters of like, guys, I really loved it here and I had a great time and stuff. And it's like, all right, you can lie to me like that. But more than anything, you could tell that lie. But you could have still said no to Brighton.
Does that also fall under Brendan Aronson?
Oh, I wish someone paid his. He was the worst player for Leeds tonight.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I might be watching a totally different game to a lot of Leeds fans, but a lot of the things that did not go well for Leeds tonight were through him. He's a fucker. Anyway, sorry, Stan, you had something you wanted to get our opinions on.
Yeah, I wanted to see what the panel and obviously the listeners in the chat box have an opinion on this as well, because there was obviously a lot of talk this week about goings on over at Manchester United with Sir Jimmy Ratcliffe, who I don't know what. Every time I look at him, he reminds me of there used to be a kids' TV show on in England called Cat Weasel. Don't know if anybody remembers it. He reminds me of Cat Weasel, but they made a decision because they're doing a lot of cost cutting, aren't they? And one of the things that they announced this week was that Alex Ferguson was, by mutual consent, has left Manchester United as an ambassador, where he was being paid just over £2 million a year. And I just wondered what your thoughts are, because there's a lot of people. I listen to Talk Sport on the Talk Shite radio on the way to work. Sometimes people were ringing in, and it's a disgrace and it's disgusting. And Eric Cantona came out and said Alex Ferguson should be able to do whatever he wants, until the day he dies. So I just wondered what your thoughts are on that.
Got any thoughts, Alonso? I have some.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, not a lot, but I have some friends that support United, and they think of Ferguson as a father figure type of person, right? And he's majestic. Like we think of, you and I stand, we think of Wenger as the same way. At least I do. So, I think Ferguson as more of an ambassador to United than Wenger does to Arsenal. I think that it's probably sad for them, to be honest. And I think that he resembles everything United is as a culture, as a fan base, as everything that you want out of a manager. Though I think Kanta has a point in saying that, well, every time, even your rival club supporter, you think of Alex Ferguson, you think of Manchester United and how he's built that empire that is that club. And, I think it's kind of sad, actually, that the club won't hold him to that level anymore. And those are my words and my opinion. I think that more should be done for Ferguson. I'm not just saying that. I think that, as an outsider, I think that he should be respected more amongst the board, amongst the fans, I guess. And, I think it's messed up.
I'm in two minds on this. I think it's one of these things that I think really should have been done a lot sooner, but I can understand the feeling of like it's massively disrespectful to the man. Obviously, like he's been with your club since like 1986 or whatever, and it's like you're tossing him out, but at the same time, you're giving him like 2 million to leave, kind of thing. But for the last 10 years, he has been roaming the halls like a ghost or like a fucking albatross around the neck of every manager they've had since 2014, where basically I don't know, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but basically no matter what happens, the manager has to contend with the fact that the greatest manager and the only predecessor been remotely successful to their standard, is still there and is always there like a fucking ghost. Put it another way. I know it's wrong to get rid of him after all this time. I know it's wrong, but that club created that culture of him always being around, and that in itself put pressure on their.
You sound like you're describing to me. You remember that scene in Goodfellas when they're sat round the table in the bar and they're all telling jokes, and the owner of the bar's waiting over Joe Pesci's shoulder because he wants to ask him about the money for the tab.
Yeah.
And he looks at him and he goes, "What are you doing? Hanging over my shoulder like a pending day." That's probably how the managers feel about Alex Ferguson. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Right, but it's like you know he can do no wrong, and you seemingly can't do right. So why would you want Alex Ferguson still there? I'm sure there's no genuine hatred, but it doesn't make your job any easier or remove the pressure. I mean, ultimately, it's because Jim Ratcliffe is cheap more than anything. But
that was Cat
I mean, I totally, yeah. Why's Cat Weasel sitting there going, "Oh, we're paying this motherfucker $2 million a year, and he's doing nothing but turning up and signing some autographs." It's like, I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner. But
I'm like, I can understand the sentiment side of it, but when I try to just use a logical head, I think to myself, well, whenever does this ever happen that a manager leaves a football club and then is kept on the payroll for a further 10 years and getting $2 million a year? I mean, did that happen to Bill Shankly? Did that happen to Arsene Wenger? Is that going to happen to Pep Guardiola? Is it happening to Klopp? I mean, lots of clubs have legacy managers, right? But you move on, don't you? You move on. We're not still paying Thierry Henry because he's our full-time goal scorer, for example.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll be giving 50 grand a week or a year.
Well, for example, and this actually makes sense. In today's game against Sheffield United, Lucas Radaby, he was our captain for most of the 10 years we spent at Leeds. He flew in for the game, and it's a nice thing.
Top haircut, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a great central defender.
Yeah,
he was incredible in all seriousness. But
he's considered a Leeds legend, right? He's a Leeds legend, right?
He is, because he played for us for 10 years in an era where you don't get many players stay at a club. He was probably one of the first. I'll put it another way. He was the first non-English player in England to get a testimonial, to my knowledge. Non-British. That might not actually be true, but it feels like it's true. He was of such a high standing that Vinnie Jones played in his testimonial, even though Vinnie Jones hadn't played football for about 5 years or whatever. But anyway, he turned up for the game tonight. It was nice. He ain't going to still be at Ellen Road next week. He ain't going to turn up on Tuesday night to watch us play Watford. He's going to fucking go home. That's a big renovation.
Oh, wow.
He's going to go home. He's not going to hang around the place and basically make all the other captains of the club feel like a prick because he done well when they didn't or whatever. It works out the same for Ferguson. It's like, mate,
you can imagine the Man United manager just an hour before kickoff putting up the team list, and just as he walks off, he hears behind him. You look around, it's Alex Ferguson looking at the team he's putting out. It's just like shaking his head, going, "Yeah, you know what I mean? You're like, fucking hell, what's that? Why don't you? I'll be like, why don't you fucking manage him then if you think you know everything?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I know I'm supposed to sit here, and I'm not saying you've pushed this, but there's an agenda in. Maybe that's too harsh a word, but we're supposed to sit and go, "Oh, what they did to this man is disgusting." It's like, no, what they did to this man should have happened a year after he fucking stopped being the manager.
You know what? It's me, and I'll come home and I'll be saying to my wife, I'd be going to my wife, "Gig's over, love. Managed to get 10 years out of it, though, but that's the last one." Do you know what I mean? But we've got a nice little nest egg there. We've got 26 million in the bank. I mean, he's a wealthy man anyway, right? I mean, he's got a lot of investments. He's involved in a lot of outside things. He's horse racing and that. To get $2 million a year, thank you very much. I mean, what pension pays that out? I mean, the times have moved on. He can't. I can understand how the fans feel, right? Because they love him. I get it. I can get the emotional bit. But me just trying to look at it top down because I'm not involved in it. I think fair play, mate. You got all that for that amount of time. Just say thank you very much.
I'm waiting for that on the Stoop pension.
It's funny you mentioned that. My checks from last season still haven't cleared, but that's another story.
Checks.
You get payments, Dan.
Checks. They come in the post.
Really?
They're like the big novelty ones that you get.
Right. From
they're like that.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
When you're donating to charity and the local newspapers come to see you hold it.
Checks.
Yeah.
Who signs those checks? Because if it's Lolo, I'm going to be awfully pissed.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, $2 million for a club of their size is nothing.
John, so I don't know.
Oh, you turned up to the bank and went, "Yeah, I'm Director John."
Huge fucking show. Like, cash this, please. But yeah, I
John,
just
there's still
going,
time.
going back to Alex Ferguson. I just think, you know, it's time to move on. I actually think it's more petty that after that, the next day, it came out that they've cancelled the Christmas party. I think that's more petty than the Alex Ferguson thing. I mean, it's fucking Christmas. What I would do, I go, okay, the Christmas party's cancelled. If I was like one of the, you know, the office people working in Man United, I'd just organise my own one for free. Right. We're all bringing food in. We'll all bring in some decorations, and we're going to have our own Christmas party. Fuck Cat Weasel.
Yeah. I mean, in their defence, right? And I don't want to defend Sir Jim Radcliffe or whatever, but ultimately, pretty much everyone in that squad is earning at least 50 grand a week. Why can't you all buy a packet of beer and some party hats yourself and just do it yourself? If it matters that much, but still, I know it's similar to what you said. Actually, to be fair to you, but it's like what? Why is it that important? It's on the company.
They stopped giving their. I didn't know they did this, but they obviously give lunches out to stewards, and I mean, there's cost cutting, and there's like, you know, cost cut the stuff. You know, maybe you know, drop the percentages on dividends that are paid out. Try that. See how the shareholders.
Well, I know.
Do you know what I mean?
This is not specifically their fault. Stan, when they're next thinking of handing out a contract for a player, maybe do your due diligence and basically not buy a player just because Ten Hag loved him in a lesser league. And basically, why don't you just not pay Anthony 100 grand a week because he's dog shit?
He's on 10 million a year, right, Anthony? I mean,
I shudder to think.
Again, I can remember a term that came out in football, and the first time I ever heard it, it was directed at Mesut Ozil, and everybody was pissed off when this term was leveled at him, which it then turned out that it was true, and that was nicking a living. Nicking a living. Anthony's nicking a living, man, and fair play to him.
He is.
I mean, fair play to him.
I admire people who get away with it, but I don't admire the club for basically continuing to let it happen. Like, why are you not trying to palm him off on someone else? Like I said earlier, it was Kevin Augustine. Why are you not trying to mitigate your loss on the situation? Because I imagine when you take away the steward's lunch, you are still nowhere near getting back the money you are handing over to half of your squad. Individually.
Yeah, taking away the steward's lunch, and meanwhile, Anthony's guzzling beluga caviar and 67.
Have you seen those stewards eat? Have you seen them eat? I've seen them eat.
I've seen what their lunch is, but still, even if you increase their lunch allowance to £27 each, Anthony's still eating his caviar in comparison. But yeah, he won't fire in bed for 10.
The funniest thing that I read are talking about Anthony, and I only saw it recently because obviously I'm not a Man United fan, and it was the press conference of Erik Ten Hag telling the world why he bought Anthony and what he's going to do. Oh my God. He bigs this guy up to the maximum. You know, he's going to be the fastest. No centre backs are going to be able to touch him. You know, I know this guy. He's so good. He really, really bigs him up. And how can Erik Ten Hag bring in all of these players that he knows? It's not like he's bringing in players from other side of the world that he doesn't know and had scouting reports and they haven't worked out. They've not been able to settle. He's brought some players that he has personally mentored and trained in the game of football, and they're stinking up the place.
I think it's
Well,
the same wrong.
Like the butcher, he's brought in Vander, Danny, the Dutch midfielder, right? Vanderbeek.
No, he didn't bring in Van der Beek. He was brought in by Van Gaal, wasn't he? And then he left.
No, he was brought in by.
He's brought in Anthony. He's brought in De Ligt. He's brought in.
De Ligt, that's what it was. Yeah.
Lisandro Martinez, Ugarte, Hoyland, Xerxes, Xerxes looks like he
Xerxes.
can't handle it. Xerxes looks like he's well out of it in this league. He's all of these players that he's got familiarity with from the Dutch league, and they just don't look up to it. So if you're
That's crazy to me.
if you're the owner and you're sanctioning these deals, wouldn't you be concerned? And I'm sure there was a game recently where you looked at the lineup and then you looked at the bench, and it was like all these signings were on the bench. You're like, what?
The thing that saddens me about it is, and I may sound a little biased because I genuinely don't like them, but like inherently, I've been brought up to not like that club. They are a club that, based on how they are run, they should not be in the Premier League, but they always will be because of the individual talent they have. One will always stand out in a given match and get enough points to keep them from the drop, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is like how Everton have always beat it. It's like they'll have a goal scorer that suddenly starts scoring in April, kind of thing. Like Richarlison at one point, or Calvert-Lewin, or whatever. But it annoys me that, because when they go like, some teams are too big to go down. It's like, that sums it up in the context that they will always have one player that will have a good day. Enough times that they'll not punish for the actual poor running of the club.
Yeah,
but still. Anyway, while we're at this impasse, I think we should actually go on a break because someone needs to go to the bathroom, and that someone is me. So Director John, if you would not mind playing us out for the half of the show, although we're well into the second half of the show technically. Conversation is good. That being said, if you can, John, can we have Lolo's Leeds poem, because Leeds won today and I couldn't think of another one to play. Other than that, for anyone who's missing Lolo, and then we'll do betting in the dark, and then we'll talk about what these fine young gentlemen want to talk about.
What's going on, football fans? It's your boy Lolo. I want to kick a big shout out to my Stoop crew, most of which is Leeds United fans. And I just want to say, you guys really impressed me over the weekend with your win over Man City. So much so that I decided to immortalize that victory into a poem. So I'm going to say it for y'all right now. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, share it. If you don't, share it anyway. It was a warm day in April, around 8 in the morning. All Leeds was anxious since their maroon kits were worn. They traveled not far, only an hour by train, to the home of the champs they hoped to contain. Manchester City was an unstoppable force, but the lads from Yorkshire had no fear, of course. Pundits all claimed there's no way in hell that these upstart boys would ever do well against Pep and his squad of world-class players. That championship team better start saying their prayers. Well, the match started well, both teams wanting to win it, when Paddy slotted in Dallas at the 42nd minute. A goal, an unbelievable sight. Leeds beating City? Nah, something didn't feel right. So 4 minutes later, Captain Coops clears the ball, but down goes Jesus. Now VAR gets the call. Go check the screen, go check the screen. This is the most dangerous tackle ever seen. Studs up hit the knee of the Man City man, so the card became red for the Leeds Capitan. Down to 10 men with mere minutes left in the half, Bielsa subs Bam Bam for some help in the back. The next 45 would be hell to defend, with shot after shot. Would the barrage ever end? Frustration from Pep and fear in his eyes, till the 72nd minute when they equalized. 1-1, all level. Still a fine result, but to Bielsa's 10 men, it was a nasty insult. We're better, we're Leeds, we fight till the end. You may be the kings, but our knees will not bend. We've come into your home, your Etihad Palace, but you bastards forgot that we've got Stuart Dallas. 90 minutes plus 1, City happy to draw, then Gianni picked a pass that left us in awe. No way, Stuart's flying at pace. There's not a chance that he wins this race. He's being closed down by Fernandinho and Stones, but the young man from Cookstown has ice in his bones. He nutmegs the keeper. The ball's on this lad. 10 men against the champs, gotta say, not too bad. The whistle was blown, the 3 points were taken, and every Leeds fan was screaming and shaking. Bielsa was humble, gave all the credit to the guys, even though his budget is 2% of Pep's size. It was Paddy and Raph, Helder and Ty. Coops was tweeting from the lockers, one hell of a guy. It was Johnny, Pascal, Diego, and Luke. Mellier's been brilliant for sure, not a fluke. With Shax and Cork flying in for relief, and of course Calvin Phillips, the commander-in-chief. The man of the match was Dallas for sure, and the pride was for Leeds, from here to Yorkshire. So if you claim the badge and you only bleed white, march on together, and from the Stoop, good night. Thank y'all for listening to that. I hope you enjoy it, and don't forget you can become a part of the Stoop crew for just a little bit of money every month to show us that you love what we're doing. Peace from Brooklyn, y'all.
Did that actually play out to the end? Because on my computer, it paused as soon as the word Shax was said.
Yeah, it did.
It did to me. I don't know.
Oh, it played all the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
Oh, it must be something to do with my earbuds or something.
The hamsters in your wheel, they stopped running.
I think that's happened twice, so I don't know why.
That's nice a wrap.
There you go. It actually makes me a bit sad hearing that, because it's like, excuse me.
Bless you, Tom.
Thank you. It just makes me wonder. I remember when my team were good. That's the Leeds team that finished 3 points behind Arsenal.
Bless
Excuse
you.
me. Oh, hello, Moss. Thank you, Alonso. Hello, Moss. How you doing?
So, I have a question for you, Tom.
Yeah, please.
Do you remember a midfielder that played for Arsenal named Abu Dhabi? No, sorry. Alexander Song.
Song?
Yeah. And he got too big-headed and went to Barcelona, right? Remember?
Yeah. Did he end up at West Ham?
Yes. Do you think that the same thing happened to Calvin Phillips when he got very good at Leeds and he ended up moving over to City?
I think the thing a lot of people don't realise with Calvin Phillips, he tried to get into the best club football side in the world, in my opinion, and he couldn't. And I don't think there's a shame in it that has been put on him, in my opinion. Like, you are trying to get into a team that's currently got Rodri in the position that you play in. You're not going to get into it. And there should be no shame.
Talking about Alex
Calvin Phillips. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go on.
Yeah, it's like, do you compare the two as far as trying to better themselves by also going? See, Alex Song was on top of his game, in my opinion, at Arsenal, but he was trying to go on to Barcelona to perhaps get on that midfield, and he couldn't make it.
I can tell you why Alex Song went to Barcelona, because I was, funny enough, I think it was within the last few weeks to a month, I was reading an article about him. He was being interviewed or something, and he said the reason that he left Arsenal for Barcelona, simple.
Right. Oh, okay.
He said when he was earning money at Arsenal, because he was spending it like it was going out of fashion. He was overliving his means, right? You know, big flash cars, fancy watches and that. You know, he was spending more than he was earning and was getting a bit skint. So when Barcelona came along and they were offering to like triple his wages or whatever it might have been, it was like, yeah, fine. And he said he regrets that as a footballing decision.
Oh, yeah.
He said that he knew going there that he wasn't going to be a starter. He's not going to. Who's he going to muscle out of the midfield? Iniesta?
Yeah.
Xavi?
But Stan, but
he went for the money, and he admits to it to get himself out of financial shit.
But do you remember whenever he had 11 assists as a holding midfielder at the time? I was like, wow, this guy is incredible, man. You know, this is the year that year before Van Persie left, or the year before he left to United.
What
But
I remember of
yeah,
Alex Solomon was that
Have a good night, Lawrence.
when he first started playing for us, he couldn't get into the team. When he did get into the team, he didn't look like he was up to the standard. You know, the fans weren't really that keen on him. And then something happened. It was a little bit like Coquelin. Remember when we bought Coquelin back? We cut his loan short because we ran out of midfielders. He came back and made himself a starter, him and Cazorla. It was a little bit like that. Something happened. Maybe he went to Dubai, like our team goes to Dubai and they come back magically better. I don't know what he did, but he got really good for a period of time.
Coquelin's at Leeds right now. He's training as a free agent at Leeds United.
Really? Francis Coquelin?
Yeah, genuinely true. I don't know if we're going to sign him.
How old is he now?
Can. I think he's like 33, something like that. Keep in mind, the only reason we've got free agents is because in the span of 1 week, Sam, we lost both our central midfielders to long-term injuries.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, basically. So we've now only got three central midfielders, three going in 2 spots. So obviously we had to. They were going to try and get someone in the international break, but obviously didn't find anyone, or they all failed their medicals or whatever. But still, that was just random. You said Coquelin, and I was like, that's a familiar name. Why have I heard of that before? It's like because I saw TalkSport reporting that he's at Leeds right now.
He went for a really good purple patch with us, where he was like undroppable. And he was on loan. I think he was on loan at Charlton. We got like an injury crisis, and we cut the loan short. We was able to cut it short and bring him back as a stopgap.
Yeah,
very good.
Did he win an FA Cup with us, right? Did he win an FA Cup with us?
I think so. Well, we've won 14 of them, so probably.
He'd have probably won at least one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So something else that I heard this week, if that's okay, to bring up another. Are you going to do your betting thing now, or?
Oh no, we'll do your whatever you're about to say, and then we can do the betting
again. And I'm sorry, it's a little bit Arsenal centric, but that is the team that I support, I suppose. But it's a bit of more of a broader statement, and it was an interview with Graham Souness, who I've always liked. I always liked Graham Souness. I like his attitude. I mean, putting that Galatasaray flag in the center of the pitch, man. I mean, that's just stuff of legends. But in the interview, and I think it was with Simon Jordan, he said that he didn't think that Arsene Wenger was a football person. Discuss.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, Graham Souness is a well-known moron. He may be a Liverpool legend or whatever, but the fact of the matter is he clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because I'm pretty sure he's still trying to pick things to blame on Paul Pogba, despite the fact that Paul Pogba has just had a ban rescinded. So he's not played football for like a year, but he will still blame him for a misplaced pass for Man United. So that's how much stock I put in what he says. From my team's perspective, he did in a interview probably the same one that obviously you're talking about. He said, because he seems to have been sounding off about his career. He was basically saying he didn't like playing at Leeds because we would hurt him, and he was like, it was basically we were a dirty team sort of thing. And it was like, mate,
that's a bit rich, isn't it?
That's why I was like, great. Basically, what you mean, Graham, is you don't like it when it was done to you, but when you were doing it, it was just part and parcel of the game. I was hard but fair. It's like, no.
Saying that Arsene Wenger is not a football person is like me saying that Graham Souness isn't Scottish. That's how ridiculous it is. I mean, Arsene Wenger played football at a professional level. Wasn't a world-class player, but was a professional football. Studied sports science. And I mean, you only have to look at some of the innovations that he brought to the Premier League. I mean, the Arsenal back four were well into their 30s when he arrived, and he managed to show them a way how to prolong their careers well above what I think Martin Keown was playing till he was 39. So, I mean, just a wild statement when I heard that. I was like, where's that coming from? And if you compare both of them as managers, you know, obviously as a player, Graham Souness, you know, he was the more accomplished player. But as managers, I mean, Arsene Wenger streets ahead. streets ahead in terms
just-
of accomplishments, right?
Just before that, Deborah the Zebra with kebab in London, £22. I don't know what kebab shop you've been going in, love. Because
Strong.
you ain't getting a kebab for £22 around here. No one will pay that.
That's strong.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not lived in England for ages, but I used to pay. I think it was like maybe £6 for a doner kebab.
It's about
Long time
£10.
ago. Okay, that sounds about reasonable with inflation.
My nearest one is about £10, and
That's
even
about right.
I would consider that expensive. But still, who's telling you it's £22? But also, am I confident on promotion? I'm quietly confident, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it can get very Leedsy very quick. Anyway, hello. Yeah. So, I mean, no other football team's got a song called "So and So Are Falling Apart." It's my team that has that song. So, and we got it for a reason, mainly because it fits into the Joy Division song. But what do you call it? Coincidental. Director John, if you don't mind, can we please do some betting in the dark? So then we have a little bit longer talk about what Stan wants to talk about and Alonso. Because I'll go away.
Betting in the dark with Mr. Tom.
Come on, love, place your bets.
Hello, everyone. Roll up. Cyril says hello. Obviously,
Get your quids out.
Get your 100 English pennies, and obviously finger the duck, the true boss of this segment. To Norwich, Jack Wilshere to become a coach at Norwich. He was a player there, wasn't he? Briefly, or I don't know if I'm remembering that.
Yes, he did. He did. You're right. I think.
Obviously, towards the end.
It was towards the end, I believe.
Yeah, at the end of his career. I'm not. He's not dying. Anyway, if you don't mind, Director John, take us on to our first one. I've gone Spurs, who suck, are not going to beat West Ham United tomorrow. I mean, they probably will. But again, there's no money in picking Spurs to beat West Ham. But it could get a very Spursy very quick. And there's money in it being Spursy. He did score a great goal against Norwich. That's fair play. Mark and Lolo, Deborah, are not here because they've got a personal situation of which basically meant they can't be here tonight. So, other than
they're out on a piss, basically, somewhere.
That's partly it. But yeah. But it's not really for me to say why, but
that's doable. What you got there? That's very doable.
I think it is, depending on if Spurs. It's the sort of thing I think if West Ham score 2 goals there, they'll get 3, kind of thing. They'll either score 3 or none.
Spurs look like they're having a bit of problems at the minute. That's who we are, mate. That's who we are. You know, it's they're having a few problems. That's who we are, mate. They're having a few problems there, but is Son's been absent for a bit. Is he? I don't know why. Is he back, Son?
I mean,
last game, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
I don't
know whether he played international duty. But yeah, hopefully he will. There are betting sites where if you do bet a player to score and say like they get subbed off and the player they got subbed off for scores, they'll still pay you out. So.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah,
that's worth a $5. To be fair.
Well, thank you for that. Sorry, Alonso.
You should put a bit on whether or not Harry Madison will get hurt this match.
Do you know what? This is a quick story, very quick. When I was at work, it was 2010 World Cup. I had someone come into my shop and basically go, "Do you have any odds on Cristiano Ronaldo to break his leg?" I was like, "What?" sort of thing. And it's like, "Well, can you find out?" Well, yeah. I was like, "Yeah, what? Why? What?" So basically, I phoned up, and they basically reacted to me like, the traders, the roast room, and all that. They reacted like, "Oh, we don't do bets on people getting hurt like that." I was like, "I know, but just in case you did." Sort of thing. I was like, fucking hell. I watched all Portugal games for that reason. But I did have an eye like if Cristiano Ronaldo did get an injury, I'd have been sitting there going like, I do.
Cristiano Ronaldo probably got wind of that and upped his personal security detail.
That's incredible.
Hey, Tom, to be fair, but he's due for injury, right? Madison.
I'm at Ronaldo's age. I'm pretty sure if someone did actually cut him, he would just explode in like a puff of like what do you call it, powder or something. In footballing years, obviously about 700.
Tom, one of the best bets I've ever heard was a guy bet that he would. It was during, I think, a Cowboys football game, that somebody would run across the field naked, and they took the bet. It was like, some ridiculous, like $100,000 that the guy said, whatever the bet was. The bookie took the bet. Later on during the game, the guy streaks. He runs across. It's him, and he got fined. He got fined like $2,000, but he got paid.
Jesus.
Why not?
I mean,
Why not?
That's profit. That's pure profit. Sounds like he made 98 grand. If you don't mind, Director John, going on, and I know you're not gonna like this. I know you're not gonna like this.
Here we go.
But
Here we
in my
go.
defence, right? Again, picking Arsenal
You've
win.
always got to go there, isn't you? You've always got to go there, isn't you? Always.
Hey, I'm told to pick wild bets. There's no more
That's
bet
fucking wild,
than
right?
Arsenal losing.
That's wild.
It
That's
really is.
ballsy, Tom.
It is. Plus, I know I'm gonna get the reactions for picking it, but at the same time, because Gary's now got like a shiver down his spine. He's like, Tom's probably picked Bournemouth.
West Coast
like
Gary, as he's now been known as.
Yeah. Hollywood Gary. But
in his white linen man from Del Monte suit.
I picture Gary in Del Monte suit. Yeah, but I mean, it's what it is. I mean, the same bet with Arsenal probably only pays about £50, but still, is what it is. Andy Herbert's gone 3-1. Do you support Bournemouth by any chance? I don't. It might be West Ham. I don't know. I probably should have picked Brendan Johnson.
You're talking about Anthony Herbert?
Yeah.
No, he's part of the family.
Oh, he's one of your lot.
He's one of ours, man.
Oh,
yeah, he's a fully paid up member.
Okay. That's not surprising, despite the fact that I was 100% wrong. Lolo's okay. She's going 4-0 Arsenal. Fucking hell. He's a Wolves fan. So, obviously, how do you think you're going to get on against Manchester City tomorrow? Is what? Yeah, probably. If you don't mind, Director John, will you take us on to the third and final one? Now, under my theory that the 4:30 game in the UK on a Sunday, so basically the late game on the Sunday, has on average the highest goal total of any time slot on TV.
I heard that. I heard about that. Yeah, right. I heard about that.
Yeah. So I always pick higher scores on this Sunday late game. It's indisputable. It's just a pure fact.
Deborah. I like Deborah's. Deborah's one's good.
Draw first half, then lose 5-0. That'll probably. If you do draw City to win, you'll probably get at least 7-2. So like 4.5 to 1 or 3.5 to 1.
That's doable though as well. I think.
Yeah.
Doable, right? You know, you got to put your house on Cole Palmer scoring because he's in rich frame of form. You put your house on Salah scoring, but like you say, you know, a lot of goals are scored, and Liverpool can be a little bit leaky.
Yeah,
so I could see it. I could see it.
The real fault behind this is if Liverpool, sorry, I said Man City, I meant to say Liverpool. If Liverpool get an early penalty, the bet is still like the races because obviously Salah takes their penalties. That'd be 1-0. First part of it is done. Then if Chelsea score 4 goals and one of them is not Cole Palmer, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah.
Who else in that team shoots? Well, if
Jackson?
It's only him.
Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah, probably.
As a pop, doesn't he? Madaway if he comes on.
Yeah, but also their team shoots successfully.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But
He's
still,
very good, Cole Palmer. Very good.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from him. As we're talking about Liverpool, is a quick tidbit, something that I found out this week as well. I was watching a video on YouTube about some of the most underpaid players in the Premier League, and the goalkeeper at Liverpool is Alisson, right?
Alisson.
He's on like
Yeah.
100 grand. That's it. That's it. Eddie Nketiah was getting more money. Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson were getting paid more than Alisson. That's mad. If you think about it, how important he is, right? And how he's perceived, in the rankings of goalkeepers, forget the world, just to say the Premier League, he's considered to be, in the upper echelon. And, they're getting him for quite a good salary. 100 grand is nothing.
I imagine he signed his contract about 4 years ago. I mean, he should be earning more, but the only explanation for that, the only explanation is he obviously signed it before they started dishing out loads of money in contracts. Because I imagine that club had a wage structure they stuck to, obviously, like a lot of the bigger clubs do, when they're like, we ain't going to pay out like Man City, and we've got a very, like Arsenal, we have a strict wage structure kind of thing. And I imagine theirs was basically, he was at the tail end of that. And then after he signed his 100 grand, they then went, Salah, do you want 350? Because we've got a bit more money freed up. And then he sat there going, wait, you're giving him what? And they're like, yeah, we'll see you in 5 years if you're still half decent, which he is.
And that young kid, Curtis Shaw at Liverpool?
Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones. It's on something like 15 grand. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be earning 15 grand a week, but in the scheme of things as a footballer.
Yeah, but they're all sitting there secretly wishing they... Don't get me wrong, they are all secretly sitting there wishing they were Jean-Kevin Augustin, because that man has not played 1 minute of Premier League football, and he got handed 28 million euros.
Yeah, that will never get stopped.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit there and go, this player's earning this player, but they're all playing the games. They're all earning whatever low amount by this discussion they're earning. He did nothing, and he got handed money.
It's like he's the new Winston Bogart, right? Everyone used to talk about Winston Bogart.
Bogart's the best one. Bogart's incredible. He's the master at this, because obviously
flying in for training from the Netherlands, flying in and then flying home.
Yeah. He would basically, because obviously I think he came in when they had Gianluca Vialli. I could be wrong. And then basically like 3 weeks into the season, they sacked Gianluca Vialli, and Claudio Ranieri immediately came in and went, why do I want a 30-year-old Winston Bogart? Back in the days, like 24 years ago, if you were a 30-year-old footballer, you were dead.
I think he was on 40 grand a week, which
that's exactly right.
Back then as well, again, that was a higher bracket of salary, right?
Well, the same season, Roy Keane got handed 52 grand a week by Manchester United, and it was massive news. Now, obviously, he was of a standard where he earned it, but that's what the range of money that a top player was getting in England at the time. 40 grand for a player that played like 3 games for Chelsea and then sat on his ass for 4 years, because Chelsea were like, please break your contract. And he would sit there and go, nope, I'm going to turn up for every function on my contract that I mandatorily have to turn up to maintain the contract. I will do everything it takes so you legally cannot sack me. And that's what he did. And then in 2004, he walked off with his 40 grand a week in his bank.
Because you'd be thinking back then, for that kind of money that he was on, if he'd said, yeah, I'll go to that club, salary probably would have been in and around the 15 grand, right? Which is a huge jump from 40. So why would you give it up? Yeah. And he lived in Holland. He lived in Holland, and he would fly in from Amsterdam for like a couple of days, train, and then fly back. And have a life.
He wouldn't even turn up for the game, Stan. It was not stipulated in his contract that he had to turn up for the matches. He had to turn up for training, so he did. And as BX Gunner here says, Scott Carson of Manchester City gets 30 grand a week. Now, what the real reason he gets that is because he is part of their English quotient of players. So because he's in their match day squad, they can actually have more players that are not English. That's the
How long's
actual
he been
reason
there
they
now?
pay him.
How long's Carson been there now? It's fucking. I mean,
Must be about 5 years.
that's up there with that Alex Ferguson pension.
Yeah.
Poor mate. You know what I mean?
But for everyone who sits and goes, "Oh, he must be really great in the dressing room," it's like they don't give a fuck how he is in the dressing room because he's never really going to play. But they just have him there because he's English.
He probably pushes around.
He
probably pushes around like the tea trolley.
Exactly. And thank you, Director John. This is the Magic 3. All the teams to win that were picked in these parlays, as they call it in America. No correct score needed because they're probably all not going to win. But if they did, it's worth 130 to you. Anyway, as I'll say, thank you, Director John, for putting that together for us. Appreciate it. So, gentlemen, we've got 30 minutes left on the clock.
Well, before you go anywhere, I got a call from a certain former Leeds manager as a sponsor of the week. So I don't know if you want to read it.
Okay. We've got a new sponsor, have we? It's a mystery sponsor of the week.
Oh.
Hold on, Lolo. It gets weird from here. Friends, are you having a rough time putting on your favourite pair of jeans? Can't seem to get that fit just right? Are you the target of constant ridicule? Those jeans make you look manly, said no one ever. From the latest designer of Jordan jeans comes the latest breakthrough in technology. It's Bielsa bucket jeans, of course. Now you can do all those things that your skinny jeans never allow. Ice fishing, lounging around, play baseball. Available in all sizes and colours. Bielsa bucket jeans. Get your bucket jeans from a participating store near you. Order now and get one autograph free Bielsa. Do you know we were selling them for like 200 quid at one point? Genuinely.
That's an actual piece of merchandising.
Yeah, they were selling them for like 200 quid. And I only know that because basically I actually went on the website to see, because I thought if they're 40 quid, I thought that was basically like, it's an upside down bucket essentially. And I thought that's a bit much even for that, but I justify it. As soon as I saw £200, I'm like, I will get my Leeds shirt every year, and that's all you're getting from me financially. But anyway, order 2 or more.
Can you imagine that? Like, have you seen online now what's happened? The new buckets out. Quick, have a look. Every season.
I'm surprised they didn't bring that in new kits. I mean, they probably said to him, "Hey Marcelo, do you fancy like actually wearing different ones? Like, not wearing. I'm talking like it's a real item. I mean, the actual bucket. Do you fancy having the bucket modelled on the colour of the kit that is being worn in that particular game?" I bet they said that to him, and I bet he gave him the death stare and told him to fuck off.
Or no, his translator told him to fuck off.
Yeah. Apparently he does speak perfect English, but it was just this really clever thing that if you turn up to the interview with the translator, because it's such an awkward interview, you wouldn't have to answer so many questions. They just try and get it finished. You get the translator go, yes, no, and they're like, all right, thank you, Marcelo. See. Yeah. But he actually talks as much English as we do.
Just as he walks off of camera, you hear him going, "Fucking idiots," with a cigarette.
Yeah. But yeah. Fabio Silva has an 8-year contract and has been sent everywhere on loan and no one wants him. Definitely had our pints pulled down by Mendes. Is he the worst one you think you got from that particular agent? Because I know you had a fair few lads out of Mendes. The Wolves, when that basically Mendes was giving them players. But still, other than that, a hole in the bucket. Yeah. Other than that, so gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the weekend's action, as in Arsenal at Bournemouth, for example?
Yeah, I think that last year, I think we did them pretty well. sometimes they may be up for it at times, but at the end of the day, we'll have to follow up with them. And yeah, I think, you'll see people who don't score as much score this time around. I think Saka, him playing will be up for, I think it will be a game time decision. Other than that, I think it'll be an easy win.
I look at that. I look at that fixture list, and I think to myself, Man United could be banging trouble here because Brentford are playing some good football, and they're really. Have you noticed they've got some record about scoring really early in matches? They come right out the blocks with a style of play, and they score really, really early. And if they do that to if they do that to Man United, it could just knock the stuffing out of them because they've got to be on the floor at the moment. Man United and the players, they've got to be. I mean, they're sitting in, as you see there, they're sitting in 14th place. So if they get a punch in the face by Brentford early on, I think it's curtains for them in that game.
I could be factually wrong. I believe they had 3 games in a row where they scored in the first minute, and then against Wolves they scored in the second minute. So, but what that really told me more than anything is that they're really good at fucking doing well in the coin toss. It just works in their favour.
Double-headed coin.
Has to be. And then you don't let Rodney obviously call because he'll go towels. Obviously,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's the Boise episode of the card game. Sorry,
But,
yeah.
I think, to be fair, I think Thomas Franks does a good job with that Brentford side. I think he has them always motivated to do well, and I think that's why they've been somewhat good in the Premier League since they've been up. But one thing that I like about the Premier League, you'll see Ipswich playing Everton, and you see Southampton playing Leicester. Battle of the lower tier teams. So it'll be interesting to see though how they play out the weekend. See if they gain any points or if they drop points. Yeah, it's a tight battle. Not a tight battle, but it seems like Southampton to win badly to stay up.
I also think as well that this weekend Crystal Palace will get their first win.
Yeah. I can see that.
They've been very unlucky. It's not like they've been playing like shit football. They've just been really unlucky.
So
they've had some games which they've been really close to winning, but it just wasn't. They just didn't get the rub of it. They're not a bad team, and I think that this weekend that they hopefully away at Forest, I think that they'll get their first 3 points. I think also as well looking at that fixture list, what was the other one that I noticed as well? I think the Ipswich Everton one could be tight as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Fulham and Villa would be a good game as well with our former Arsenal players there against Villa. Villa hasn't really done well. They're doing pretty good, but they haven't been surprising people either. I think they're pretty favorite to be top 4. Granted, it's still early, but I like to see Fulham get an upset win this weekend. I think they could do it too.
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
Yeah.
I can see. For the upset pick, I've basically selected Wolves because I'm basically going for whoever's bottom every week.
We'll say Tom.
But other than I've not seen the points total, so I have no idea how this strategy is doing for me. But generally speaking, I think Man City are obviously going to win this, but just in case they don't. Plus, the other one I would have picked would have obviously been Ipswich, but you'd only get 1 point because Everton are directly above them, so it's not worth picking.
Yeah.
Or Southampton as well, and you'd only get 5 points. So, generally speaking,
what's the spread between Palace and Newcastle and Nottingham Forest?
If only we had the table. Director John, can you put up the bottom half of the Premier League, please? Oh, so Palace are 18th and 10th. So, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I think I'm going to go with Palace for our upset pick thing that we do. I think it's a
That's
bit
funny,
abnormal that they've gone 7 games without a win.
I don't think
it's not like
it is
they've
at all.
lost them all. It's not like they've lost them all. They've had some draws in there. They're due a win, I think. They're due a win.
One thing I did say, and people told me it was a wild, like had no basis on anything, but I basically felt when Crystal Palace got offered 18 million for their manager by Bayern Munich in the summer, and they told them no. I get why they told them no, because they obviously think we're going to build something, but then they proceeded to then sell their best players. And
To Bayern
I know
Munich. To Bayern Munich.
Yeah, yeah, and I know they kept Mark Gahey, but they didn't think they were going to keep him. Kind of thing. They thought they were going to replace him, and they did, and they kept him.
He looked like he was on his way out, didn't he, Mark Gahey?
Yeah, like he don't want to be there. But also, my thinking with that is in November when they take when they actually sack their manager and pay him to leave, they'll sit there wishing they took the 18 million that they were originally offered. But still, thank you, Director John, if you don't mind, just to make me happy with the. Oh look, Leeds are now joint top of the Championship.
Not bad. That's a nice
really
place to
not
be.
bad. I'll tell you something also, Stan. A weird quirk of the fixture list. We are second. Keep in mind we play Watford on Tuesday, which will mean we would have played everyone in the top 9 apart from Blackburn. We're top despite playing all the teams around us, basically.
So you have to forgive me because I don't keep a lot of
understandable
track on teams outside of Arsenal, let alone in the Championship. But who is your manager now at Leeds?
Daniel Farke. He used to manage Norwich.
Okay, and how's it going with this? How do you like him as a manager? Do you like what you're seeing? Do you like what he's doing? Or
I personally do, but a lot of Leeds fans are iffy on him.
Why?
Because they it's the style of football. They feel it's very possession based. Lots of going backwards to retain the ball. I mean, it's because of him as well. Basically, whoever we have will not be.
Does
good
he play
enough
safe football?
Yes.
Is that a problem?
Not for me.
I mean, it looks like it's got you into a good position so far, right? Matches played,
it's fine.
Second position.
Yeah, we've lost one game, and that's to Burnley.
What's there to argue about? You've lost one game, exactly. What's that to? Hello.
Yeah, I think. Obviously, keep in mind though that we could just as easily end up 5th tomorrow, or not 5th. Sorry, 4th. Obviously, because if Burnley and West Brom win.
What if you continue in the same vein, like losing one game every 10? You're laughing.
That's true. I mean, we only need to get 90 points again. We'll probably go up this. Basically, we're one of the few teams that got 90 points in a season and didn't get promoted. It was actually one of the few seasons where 4 teams got 90 points. So, but who's the standout goal scorer in the Championship so far? I actually don't know.
Haji Wright. Hey, he wants you to say Haji Wright, Tom.
Haji Wright. My favourite bit about Haji Wright is that he turned up at Ellen Road and played like he had the first touch of a sex offender. It was not the sorry, and I use that as I say that as there's a harsher word I could have used to actually make the joke work even better.
You're the worst touching P. Diddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, damn.
Low.
Allegedly.
I don't want Lolo upset. Oh, you can say whatever you want as long as you say allegedly. But
figures.
I thought you were going to say you can say whatever you want. It's not your channel.
But no, I don't want to see him go. We're definitely getting promoted, but the way things are going, I think we will get promoted. Good. But I don't want to be like we're definitely getting promoted, and because obviously the fall was a lot bigger. But I think it's going all right.
I mean, you should definitely be able to navigate into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you always have that as an option as well, you know?
Stan, we've never won the playoffs. Every time we've been in the playoffs, we've never won it. I think we've made 4 playoff finals and lost them all.
Oh no!
Because it again very Leedsy, the most Leedsy
Tom,
thing possible.
Didn't Ryan do watch long when Leeds played Southampton?
Right.
He did, yeah.
And it was depressing. It was depressing seeing your face, and I felt so bad for you. But it's like, you know what happened.
It's ironic that game, right? And I will never take pleasure out of Leeds losing. Like I will not be like certain Arsenal fan channels, for example, and you all know what I'm talking about. But it just turned out that because Leeds United lost the playoff final, we all love Leeds had its highest viewership ever, and I don't think it'll ever get beaten again unless we lose another playoff final. I don't want us to lose another playoff final because I don't get any money from it, but I wouldn't even want to lose another playoff final if it meant I did get money for it. But you know what I mean. As in, it just showed a lot about the YouTube psyche of how it works. People will watch you when they think you're going to have a meltdown. And to be fair, I partly did. But yeah, don't forget on Sunday we're going to review Leeds United versus Sheffield United. Spoiler: it's going to be a happy show, kind of.
Tom, sorry, but how long do those shows usually last?
24 hours. Usually about 2 hours.
Okay.
It depends how much we have to talk about. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like the full Nelson where like it starts at like midnight on Saturday and it could finish at like 4 o'clock on the Monday. It's not like that. But
I'm sorry, you said the full Nelson, so I'm just reminiscing. Those were some good times.
Those were days.
It really was. Man. It really was. It really was. But you know, other than that, so yeah, Gary's got a show tomorrow, but I don't know if Gary's actually gonna be there. Gary's the West Coast Gary, yeah. I don't know if
Gary's
he's gonna come back
now that he has a show once on a Saturday that he's not even there.
No, he's too big. He's too big to host his own show.
He's too big to host his own show, man. It's too big for that. You know what I mean?
He's too much.
Stan, do you remember Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
He used to be like that. He would never be on the show. He was like the highest paid talk show host, but he was never there.
I remember that, John.
It's like that player that played for Leeds. Mr. Tom was telling us about.
Hey Tom, will a host by the name of Sparkle Claxon be on there by any chance?
He might be on there. In at number 94, John Kevin Augustine, and then in a voiceover, the role of John Kevin Augustine will actually be played by Stan the Man or whatever. but still. Anyway, oh my god,
that would actually be very good casting because I'm shit at football, and as the lad didn't actually play any football, I could probably pull off the role. Just walking around, or scenes of me sitting in my underpants playing FIFA. That's probably what he was doing. Do you know what I mean? A big bowl of like fucking Ritz crackers next to him.
I'll be shocked if you happen to be worse than this lad. He turned up. I can tell you for a fact, he turned up as a roly-poly boy. He did not turn up looking like a professional footballer. By professional footballer, I mean for the Championship, not the Premier League. I don't even think I think you'd be embarrassed to turn up.
What was his name again?
League One. John Kevin Augustine.
There was a reason why his teammates referred to him as Fat Johnny.
Wow. But before we go, I just want to say thank you to Alonso and Stan for giving their time to turn up. Otherwise, it would just be me sitting there screaming at the chat. And it's not like I've not done that before. Again, see the playoff final episode. I was literally screaming at the chat for about an hour. It's very unbecoming of me, but basically, I was like, you fucking want this. I'm just going to give you what you fucking want, you cunts. or whatever. Anyway,
I'll just say, Tom, thanks for having me on, because me and you don't do this as often as we used to, and I do miss it. I do miss it. So thank you for having me on. Also with Alonso and everyone that pops by in the chat. Also the man behind the scenes who's pushing all the buttons and keeping it all running. There's John, director John, and also a little bit of self promotion. If anyone's out there, I know a lot of you, like a few of you know that BX and Moss, you can catch me over on Arsenal Fan Circle Sundays and Thursdays. So if you want to catch some Arsenal chat, and we'll talk about a few other things, come in and join us, because we always have a lot of people from other football teams coming to our stream as well, and everyone's welcome.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there is that. But again,
I've been meaning to play that for about 6 weeks now. I don't know why. But anyway, that was fun.
I've enjoyed this, and again, Stan's right. I haven't done enough of this, as we probably should. But that being said, thank you to Director John for being the omnipotent man in the eye in the sky. I've got 46 ways of saying that, and I never remember the same one twice. Thank you guys for giving your time up for this. I really do appreciate it. For the same reason, otherwise I'd be sitting on my own, having a go at people in the chat, which again is also fun. But anyway, thank you, Alonso. Thank you.
Actually, I was sat on the Kazi, right, and I got a text from Mr. John saying, dropping me a link saying that if you're around, I'm like, well, I've got nothing else to do once I get off the pan. And you two, I'm not going to let you two have all the fun on your own. So it's good to come and join you.
Nah, I'll see how it is. How dare you, sir? No, thank you. I was actually going to say when you first popped up in the chat, but then I didn't know where you were saying it and then you'd pissing off or something.
I was on the throne.
At the same time. Oh, well, there you go. So you actually had nowhere to go. But other than that, but I did kind of send the vibes to John. I was like, John, yeah, send him the link. Anyway, I mean, I can't prove I actually said it, John, because I never, but I've used my brain powers to actually offer that seat. Anyway, it's whatever. I've cough drugs are a hell.
Once again, Tom with his long goodbyes.
Yeah. John, you need to just end the show, or it'll finish at lunchtime tomorrow. But have a good night, everyone. Take care.
See you guys.
Wash your hair.
Bye.